The new trial Shackles of Divinity is now available in Neverwinter. We just got the latest expansion last week, which brings Thay, and we have this new 10-man trial. However, many of you may not have unlocked it until today, as it requires the second milestone of the latest campaign. So I'm going to go over everything you need to know in order to actually beat this trial comfortably. What mechanics and rotations you should be aware of. The fight comprises of 4 phases against Valkyriel, and then 3 phases against the Zulkir with the rune mechanic if you're in Advanced or Master. So you may not have noticed, but Valkyriel has a set mechanic rotation, 20 different mechanics every phase. This is the sheet. You can screenshot it and essentially go step by step. One thing's always going to happen after the other. So I'm first going to go through each of these so you understand what those actually mean, and eventually you will learn these off by heart and be able to predict what's going to happen next. And then the fight gets an absolute ton easier, just like when you've played Tower of the Mad Mage or Zariel, those other mechanical heavy boss fights. We begin with the Scream. This will be the first thing she will do as soon as you engage the fight with her. The area gets covered in red except the outside sliver. You can avoid it just by being that far away from her. Otherwise, it gives you a heavy damage over time. As a tank, it's not any problem, but anybody else could very well die to it. You can see here how the area in front of her gets covered in red, and you need to be on the outside platform here. Be aware of the other red telegraphs you get from like these big balls. That's a mechanic I don't mention here. Simply move out of the red. But then we have the right sword. You will see how she positions herself and then she strikes the platform just like this, and that's considered like the right or left sword. Simply don't be on that side of her in that area. You can again see it here, how she strikes that right side of the platform. It's technically her left sword. Don't get it confused. The next thing is move close for the sword. She strikes from the left side across, and anybody who's far away from her will get flung off the platform. If you're close, you don't get hit. Here again, we just got another, say, left sword, where she strikes that area of the platform on this left side. Then you have the Tank Buster. This is the only reason you really need tanks in this trial. 2 tanks get this big skull red area, and it simply deals a ton of damage. Don't be within the area, and make sure to move to a decent position for your allies. The way a lot of groups do it is the tanks stand around the middle, and then everybody else is a bit on the left side. You can coordinate it differently, but that's how I've found most groups do it. So when you get these tank busters, just make sure you have enough room, as yes, the area is pretty massive. Then you have the balls, and this simply means these like vortex thingies. They can be very annoying, but the most important thing to be aware of is that those balls can cause you to get flanked by the boss. When you're in between the balls and the boss, you will take combat advantage damage. So you nearly take double the amount you normally would, depending on your awareness. And as a damage dealer, you don't have much, so you're going to be significantly squishier and will most likely one-shot to a lot more mechanics than normal. Same if you're the Tank Buster. If you're standing with an orb behind you, you can just die. We call them just like the balls. And this is also why you can just forego stacking awareness in this fight if you want to just position yourselves a bit better, because you can do so and then not need it. Now, the far for the sword, she's simply going to strike from the right side here across the platform, and you need to be far away from her or you get pushed back unless you can CC immune it, and again just take heavy damage. Just pay attention which direction she's putting those swords, and then you know she's going to strike from either the right side, that means move far away, or the left side, move close. And again, you can simply follow this rotation and know what to expect, and thus be able to move beforehand. Now the 5 rays, simply these 5 red areas. We just had the balls coming in, so unless you kill them, they will stick around for quite a while. So now we have the 5 rays, simply don't get caught in them. And after that, we have the Tank Buster again. So we've pretty much covered all the basic mechanics that you will see in phase 1, other than the 10 rays, which is simply just going to be another pattern. Here's the strike from the left side, make sure you're close, and then this is the 10 rays. You can see 10 different ones. Well, 11 if you count the big one. And then it's simply just 5 raised, balls, tank buster, spread. This is a mechanic you might not see in phase 1 if you have enough damage, but it's a bit like Tower of the Mad Mage and other spread mechanics. Multiple people will get these red orbs and you'll need to move apart. I'll show it later because we just phased here already. If for some reason you don't have much damage, you're going to start repeating the mechanics from step 1 again throughout this phase until you finally get the boss down to that threshold where she sticks the sword in the platform and you start taking damage over time. You need to escape from here by simply jumping down to the bottom platform. Once you reach the bottom, it is super important you do not stand on those runes, otherwise it will throw everybody off the platform. And here you will fight 3 mini bosses, the Zulkirs. There are 3 different types. This guy's like fire damage, just don't get knocked off by the red areas and don't have your action points drained. Once you kill it, you get the symbol in the air like this one, and you just need to match it with the runes that you see on the platform. So we got the hand with the star, so this matches with the horns as per the School of Magics from D&D, and so one person will have to stand on that rune. You will do so, however, after you've killed all 3 of the Zulkirs. So the next guy here is a bunch of ice, don't go sliding off the platform, you kill him and you get another one of those runes. So this one is very simply the towers. One person will need to stand on that rune. Again, after we kill the last Zulkir, this guy. We've done so, and you get the rune in the sky again. And this eye goes with like the pipe, and so you'll need one person standing on that. Yes, you will need to do a little bit of coordination. However, for normal, you can just forget about it. They don't even have the rune mechanic. In advanced, specify 3 people who will do it, who's first, second, and third. So that first person memorizes their rune, they go to them, everybody stands on it. It doesn't have to be at the exact same time, just stand on your rune until you get the notification, the text, seek, cover, and brace against Valkyriel's chaotic judgment. This is when she goes and she strikes the Mythalar, it blows up or lets out a big burst, and you simply need to be hiding behind these screens. In Master, the damage over time you take throughout this phase can ramp up to a lot, so you need to have healers at least near the people in order to keep them alive. Just be aware, change from preview, is that the mobs don't despawn and will keep spawning until the Mythalar blows up like this. Then they do disappear. So the tank needs to be aware of that, and usually you have the tanks taking the runes and like one healer. That way if there are mobs nearby, they don't die instantly. And then it's just jumping up with these runes. Hold your spacebar and move in the position of where the next platform is. You can use your camera to look up a little bit of where the next one is, and you will get it pretty easily after a few runs. Yes, it can be annoying at the beginning to learn, but honestly guys, it's just pushing 2 buttons. You shouldn't have any problems with that. Once everybody reaches the top platform, this is when the boss will come back and she'll start her new rotation of mechanics. She will begin with her swords from the right side, so you need to move far, followed then by a tank buster. There are 2 new mechanics within this phase. You're going to have the large balls and the hypothermia. Here again, you need to move close for the sword or you get pushed and could fall off like somebody just did there. And then we get the large balls. These are just big red areas that you simply need to move away from. That's listed here. Again, large balls. After that, it'll be followed by hypo. Not the exact name, but it's the same mechanic we all know. The damage soak check with the arrows. You just need to all group up together. And then you get spread, which you do get in phase 1, which simply most people get a red area and you move apart. Then you get like the balls again, you get the 5 rays, and you could follow the list here. You're going to get spread again, then 10 rays, scream, followed by hypo again, and it's just very straightforward. But can be useful to be able to predict what's going to happen next by knowing the set rotation. Again, for those balls, try and kill them quickly, or position yourself so that at the very least they're not behind you while the boss is in front. And again, there's nothing else to add to these mechanics. This is just phase 2. You will keep repeating that from the beginning here if you don't have enough damage to phase beforehand. But yes, I believe that is then all the mechanics explained for this new trial. Once you get the boss to 50%, she's going to phase and you're going to have to go back down to the Mythalar to do the rune phase again with the Valkyrs. You'll go back up and you enter phase 3 with Valkyriel, and then this is the rotation. Nothing new here. You still have to move far for the sword. You have the hypo, you have the rays, the tank busters, the screams, the balls. And once you hit that 25%, you're going to have to go down again for the third phase of the Valkyrs. Again, beating them up, doing the rune mechanic, hiding behind cover, and then jumping back up to the top. But now you're in the final phase 4, and this time you will take a lot of damage over time. It ramps up and you're going to need some good healers to keep you alive. In Master, people generally run 3 healers unless they have 2 super good ones just for this phase, because yes, everybody takes a ton of damage. The mechanics rotation is very similar to phase 3, and you can see that all just here. Just be aware it's very important to try and get rid of those balls. Otherwise, you can end up taking combat advantage damage and dying out very easy, failing to complete the trial. Any unnecessary damage you take here can lead to your death because the healers are already stretching their limits of keeping you alive from the massive damage over time you're taking here. But yeah, that's about it. Just be aware of this phase where you get the large balls and the tank busters. I should have positioned over here already to the right side so that I wouldn't have panicked people. But this is the runes again. You're going to have to do that phase 3 times. And this is the set rotation for all 4 phases. This is definitely one of the easier trials. Not that many mechanics to learn, simply understand the pattern, and everything is so much easier when you can predict what's going to happen next. Just be aware of group composition. You want to ideally min-max as a group with regards to buffs and debuffs and timing of your abilities. Like with the hypo, it's the big damage soak check. Ideally use an artifact call at that same time, that way the boss is heavily debuffed and deals a lot less damage. On top of that, you always need to have a Black Death Scorpion in the group, maybe even 2 of them if the other one bugs out, so that you have combat advantage damage against the boss. Otherwise you don't, because you can't flank her. Listed in my Discord server here, you can see all of the different mounts and how I would rank them that you should be using, so your supports, tanks and healers would use these. All of the different artifacts you should be using as well in a trial, along with the companion enhancements. These are different support companions you want to use, including the Black Death Scorpion. You have 10 people, you can all use different party companions, not just these 5, but also having like damage reduction from Riotous Wrath, Brunner, having action point gain from Wolfgar, recharge speed from Regis if need be. Even extra movement speed can help. If you want to run the random Q version, well, I wouldn't right now. It's got way more hit points than it kind of should, so they will be hotfixing this soon, I believe tomorrow, Tuesday, and making it significantly easier. Also, slight adjustments in advanced mode, although I would say advanced is super simple to do. And yes, it is in the random trial queue here, so you may already have experienced it and realized the boss has far more hit points than you're going to be able to get through. But yes, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys around.